Pokemon, a tried and true classic, a staple of half the world's childhood. It got its legendary start in 1996 with Pokemon Red, Green, and Blue. Just the word Pokemon alone is enough to get those gears of yours to start turning with nostalgic glee. In fact, Pokemon plays a role in the earliest memory I have. I remember being 3 or 4 and watching an episode of the anime with Farfetch'd and Psyduck on VHS on a couch with 2 other kids at an early morning daycare. We would watch that tape ritually every single morning. When Fire Red came out, I played it religiously. It was all I did for a while. I am so grateful to have Pokemon take up such a huge part of my early life. And thank God I have those precious childhood memories so that I can take a step back and say, wow, this is trash. Pokemon used to be good, but it's become a broken and flawed series with several glaring inconsistencies. And no, I'm not talking about, wow, how do they fit in the Pokeballs? Or, wow, Pokemon is animal abuse. Or, wow, Ash is too young to be traveling alone. Or, wow, kids gambling. Okay, because those are not valid criticisms. It's just not reasonable to critique Pokemon for properties of its fictional world. Let me repeat that. It is not valid to critique a fictional world because it doesn't conform to our standards of what is normal or not. Like, are you really gonna sit here and explain to me how it's unrealistic for a Pokemon to fit in a Pokeball while this big fire lizard and this big fire hydrant turtle are fighting to the death at the command of their 12-year-old masters who have put a 50 grand stake on the fight? Yeah, I don't think so. My critique of Pokemon mostly comes from the direction Nintendo has decided to take their franchise. Every year, Nintendo and Game Freak come together for their annual Pokemon convention, where they celebrate Pokemon, have some live performances, there's a huge Pokemon tournament, and they tease new projects and show off some of the new Pokemon. And with a new Pokemon game in the works after Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, you can imagine people were pretty excited to see the direction Nintendo and Game Freak were going. They showed off about 10 Pokemon, and things started off quite tame. However, people began to notice a pattern. You might be seeing it as I'm flipping through these pictures now, and yes, that's right, none of these new Pokemon have arms or legs. And that's gotten a lot of people thinking, what's happened to the arms and legs? I think that's a valid question that might arise from this display by Nintendo. And so Nintendo issued a comment a couple days later, and this is real, you can check on their Twitter if they haven't deleted it yet. And it says, we're tired of losing limbs for you, let's see how you like it. Seemingly doubling down on their limbless Pokemon stance. And at this point, people are really thinking that this is politically motivated. Several employees at Game Freak issued comments to games journalists, comments like, this will be a new kind of Pokemon game, and this outcry against limbless Pokemon only proves the point of the game we're making. And thanks to some leaks, we pretty much now know what the story of this new Pokemon game will be. And as it turns out, this new Pokemon game will be about a Pokemon who is abducted by Team Rocket and is subject to numerous psychological and physical experiments. In classic Pokemon style, you will be able to choose a male or female Pokemon when you start the game. However, what you won't be able to choose is the amount of LSD you'll be force-fed, and you'll always start off with a missing left arm. Your brain forever scarred by the sheer quantities of LSD you have consumed. You will set out on a personal vendetta against humanity, and your goal will be to delimb every single person and humanoid Pokemon you encounter. So Nintendo has introduced an alert system which is rated from 1 to 5 stars, in which the more limbs you take, the more stars you'll acquire. This will affect the amount of Jennies that patrol the streets. This is kind of an interesting system. It might lend itself well to the world of Pokemon. Nintendo has also kept the starter Pokemon system. You'll be able to choose from 3 brand new Pokemon, water, fire, and grass type. However, which ones those are is not yet known. What is known is that whichever one you choose, you'll have to sit through a fairly graphic cutscene of your starter being delimbed for the first time. Additionally, they've hinted at a recruiting system in which through your dealings in the shady Pokemon underworld, you'll be able to recruit more Pokemon to help you delimb the population of the region this game is set in. Nintendo and Game Freak have also said they don't want to include the concept of catching in this game. There will be no Pokeballs, no fighting, and no collecting Pokemon, just delimbing humans. And honestly, this is where my critique with Pokemon lies. I just think there's a huge huge glaring issue here, and that's that Pokemon has always had an emphasis on catching. It's always been about collecting and expanding the Pokédex, and I just don't see how a Pokemon game will be good without that system. So many memories I had as a child playing this game came from catching Pokemon and naming them, and even catching duplicates to see which one was stronger, or making them friends and making them get along. And that's an experience I think will sorely be missed by this next generation of Pokemon fans. I think I would have much preferred a system in which humans can be caught and nicknamed, you know, the classic Pokemon shtick. I think the concept of battling will be sorely missed from this new entry in the Pokemon series. Collecting and battling has been one of the core pillars that has held Pokemon steady for over 20 years, and honestly, I just don't have much faith in Nintendo and Game Freak to try something new. So the region this game is going to be set in has also leaked. This game is going to be set in an all-new region, the Tano region. Accordingly, it will have the Tano League, and presumably the endgame here is just to delimb this new Elite Four plus your rival. So showing off the concept art for this new region, I imagine a lot of you will have many reservations, as do I. I don't know how well this region will lend itself to finding new Pokemon. Nintendo has explored with new and exciting regions before, but this one strikes me as a bit bland. I'm also not exactly sure what the point of the new region is if Pokemon can't be caught. I don't know. There's just a lot of inconsistency. Nintendo and Game Freak are being weird and making a lot of vegan tweets recently. It's all just confusing, and I have virtually no hope in this new installment in the Pokemon franchise. For those reasons, I'm gonna have to give this game that hasn't been released yet a rating of actual garbage.